For 11 years, I sacrificed everything for them. Until they called me replaceable and my wife smiled. At 47, I thought I understood what it meant to build a family from broken pieces. My name is Robert, and for the past 11 years, I've been married to Catherine, serving as stepfather to her two children, Marcus now 25 and Sophia 19. Their biological father vanished when they were barely out of diapers, occasionally remembering to send child support when guilt struck him, but otherwise completely absent from their lives. I knew stepping into that void wouldn't be simple, but I never imagined the soul-crushing disrespect that would eventually arrive wrapped in casual cruelty and breathtaking entitlement. When Catherine and I married, she was working part-time as a medical transcriptionist, barely scraping together enough to cover the absolute basics. The kids were 17 and 11. As a general contractor with a solid reputation, I was pulling in decent money, so we made an agreement that seemed reasonable at the time. I'd handle the bulk of our expenses while she focused on being present for the kids during those critical years. It felt fair, almost noble. It was supposed to be temporary, a bridge until things stabilized. 11 years later, that temporary arrangement had calcified into something permanent and utterly one-sided. I paid the mortgage, both car payments, insurance premiums for everyone, all utilities, groceries, and every single unexpected expense that materialized. College application fees that somehow always appeared at the last minute, emergency car repairs, loans that were promised to be repaid but never were. Catherine had stopped working entirely once Marcus started college, claiming she needed to remain available for their emotional needs. I didn't push back because that's what you do for family, right? You sacrifice, you provide, you build something solid for the people you love. But somewhere in those 11 years, my contributions transformed from appreciated gestures into invisible expectations, like oxygen nobody notices until it's gone. The kids developed this attitude where everything just magically happened around them, as if money materialized from thin air and bills paid themselves through some cosmic automation. It started with those small, cutting comments that you initially brush off as teenage sarcasm. Marcus would joke that I wasn't their real father whenever I'd attempt to set any kind of boundary, his voice dripping with dismissive amusement. Sophia once announced at dinner that her friend's stepfather was infinitely cooler because he didn't suffocate them like I did. Then last Thanksgiving, something shifted in a way that I couldn't ignore anymore. I'd spent the entire week preparing an elaborate feast from scratch, smoking a turkey for 16 hours, making every side dish by hand, the whole traditional spread. Halfway through dinner, Marcus raised his glass and declared, to family and to the people who are smart enough to know they're utterly replaceable. Everyone laughed like it was the cleverest thing ever said. Sophia added, seriously, Mom could do so much better. Literally anyone could do what he does. Catherine gave them a week. That's enough. But she was smiling, actually smiling, as if it were harmless family banter instead of deliberate humiliation. I didn't say anything in that moment. I just sat there, fork in hand, and made a mental note because when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. 3 weeks later, Sophia called asking if I could cover her rent payment, $950, because she'd miscalculated her budget again. This was the fourth time in 3 months. I told her calmly that maybe she should call her replaceable stepfather's replacement instead. She hung up immediately. That night, Catherine confronted me frustrated. You're being incredibly petty. They're just kids making jokes. They're adults, I said, and if I'm so replaceable, maybe they should figure out exactly what it costs to replace me. I decided to show her what that looked like. I made a spreadsheet listing every expense I'd covered for the past year: mortgage, insurance, utilities, cars, phones, groceries, gas, all of it. The total was over $102,000. Then I removed Marcus and Sophia from my credit cards, canceled their insurance payments, moved their phone lines to their own names, and stopped automatic transfers into the household account. I withdrew my half of our joint savings and rented a small cabin 90 minutes away. For a few days, it was peaceful. Then the phone calls started. Sophia's card declined at the grocery store. Marcus's insurance lapsed. Catherine's electric bill bounced. Their phone service got cut off. When I finally answered, she was panicked. Robert, what are you doing? Nothing works anymore. I removed myself from expenses that aren't my legal responsibility, I said. Marcus is an adult. He can insure his own car. He can't afford it. Then maybe he shouldn't have called me replaceable. Weeks passed. They struggled, really struggled. Sophia took on 2 jobs. Marcus sold his gaming setup to pay debts. Catherine went back to substitute teaching for the first time in years. And for once, they learned what it actually cost to live. Around Christmas, Catherine came to the cabin, exhausted, eyes swollen from crying. "You made your point," she whispered. "Please come home." "I'm not making a point," I said, meeting her eyes. "I'm protecting myself. I spent 11 years being the foundation you all stood on, and the moment I asked for respect, I got called replaceable. You smiled while they said it. You endorsed their cruelty with silence." She broke down sobbing. "What do you want from us? I want you to understand that I'm not an ATM with feelings attached. I'm a human being who chose to love you and take care of your kids like they were my own. And I'm done being treated like hired help you can dismiss whenever convenient." Weeks later, Sophia emailed me. "I didn't realize how much you did until it stopped. I thought things just happened automatically. I'm sorry I took you for granted." Marcus showed up too, humbled and quiet. "I thought providing was easy because you made it look effortless," he said. "Now that I'm paying my own bills, I finally understand." By February, Catherine had a full-time job. The kids were self-sufficient. When she invited me to dinner, the tone was different, respectful. Sophia cooked. Marcus poured me a drink. Catherine said, "We needed this wake-up call. I'm sorry it took losing you to see it." "You didn't lose me," I said. "You just met the version of me that won't be taken for granted anymore." That night, Sophia handed me an envelope with $240 inside and a note. "First payment toward what I owe you for Thanksgiving." I didn't need the money. What mattered was that they finally understood. So tell me, was I wrong to stop providing and let them struggle? Or was it the only way they'd ever learn to respect what I did? Let me know in the comments what you think.